Welcome students. Today in this introductory class I am going to give you one demonstration of what is really ASP.NET, how you can really benefit from using this Microsoft's technology. Well, to start with, ASP.NET is not a programming language. Many of you might think that whether ASP.NET is a new programming language or not. The answer is no. It is a server-side technology. We have lot different other server-side technologies like PHP, like Java, JSP and ColdFusion. These are some of the well-known server-side technologies. Among them, ASP.NET is one such. So this is not a programming language. This is, however, a technology using which we can program a website. Now the moment I say we can program a website, definitely to program anything we need a programming language. Now in case of ASP.NET, we are having a few programming language choices. Please understand, these programming languages themselves are not ASP.NET. ASP.NET is a technology, and any technology is programmed using some programming language. Like you think I am talking to you, I could have spoken in my own mother tongue, Bengali, or I could have programmed in my national language, Hindi. I could have talked to you in my national language, Hindi, but instead right now I'm talking in a international neutral language, English. So that means every thought concepts, every thought things that we think we want to communicate with need a language of communication. The same thing, ASP.NET itself is a concept. It needs a language to program with. Most preferably we use C# or VB.NET as the two most preferred choices of programming in ASP.NET. Now apart from C# or VB.NET, which is another programming language, VB.NET, we have a jargon of technologies that drives web, like your HTML, JavaScript, jQuery, Ajax, and lot of different things are also there which basically drives web and drives internet. So you also must understand these technologies, these contemporary technologies. So if you say that I am learning web applications, definitely there are two things that you can learn. Number one, you can learn website designing, which includes everything but not a server-side programming. Please understand, there are two type of people in company, one who are engaged in web designing and other who are engaged in web programming. So people who are engaged in web programming are actually you see that these people are actually involved in creating the user interface. Like the user interface of anything that you see is the task of a web designer. You think about one very simple thing that I can give analogy with. Like you search any of your favorite mobile phone, like maybe Nokia, anything that you wish to search. Now if I tell you that okay, this is the phone, that is fine. That there is definitely a person who has or who have designed this phone, right? Now designing of the phone has got nothing to do with the internal wiring of this phone. So if someone is interested in designing like what appears on the surface, then he is called a designer. But if someone is interested in what is going internally, like the wiring, the internal integrated circuits, the internality of this device, then he is basically programming. So what appears from surface is designing, and what appears beneath the surface is programming. So in this course you will definitely we are definitely interested in the second one, the web development rather than web designing, because designing is totally a different topic. For those who really don't know much about HTML, we will definitely take some time so that a basic design can occur, and thereafter we can concentrate more on the web development portion or the web development part. So you must understand that this ASP.NET can be programmed by either of these two famous programming languages. Either we can use C# or we can use VB.NET. There are many people who are having confusion between what is basically VB.NET. Now till now actually I have spoken three things: one ASP.NET, second C#, and third VB.NET. To be very precise, dear students, ASP.NET is not a language, it is a technology. C# and VB.NET, they are actually programming languages. This is also the same programming language, right? Now many people have confusion, like many times students call me and tell me that, sir, I want to learn VB.NET. Well, actually what they want to learn I can understand. What they mean by learning VB.NET, because I need to clarify this thing also, VB.NET is they want to learn Windows application using the language VB.NET. One important thing that you must know is that these are the two famous languages we are having in Microsoft.NET. Now using this we can actually program a lot of different technologies. One such is ASP.NET, other such technology is Windows application. Other types of technologies or developments that include mobile or smart client device applications. I can tell in this way: smart client device applications or apps. So you have ASP.NET as one such technology. You can also program for Windows. Now these Windows applications means that you are actually developing desktop based applications, means applications that will be running on your computer. Think like if you play games in your computer, so these games are a kind of Windows applications that do not need an internet connection. They will run on your computer standalone. You can also say that these are kind of standalone applications. Even if a Windows application is capable of communicating with another Windows application or another application across the web, but that is a different situation. um, like it can connect to a share market to get the current share codes. So it's a different situation. We need connectivity at that point, but most of the time a Windows application never needs a dedicated connection to an external server, but ASP.NET applications really require a dedicated connection, or I would not say dedicated connection, I'm sorry to say that. It needs a connection to web to connect with a remote server, and which we call it as a web server. But a Windows application, it is actually a standalone desktop application. Now about smart client device applications, you can already understand that we are in the world of smart client devices. We use mobile phones, we use PDAs, we use a lot of different small devices, tabs and all. So these are categorized in smart client or small device. So you can also have your .NET being running in the smart client device applications also. So these are the examples of technology. So all of them are actually technology, right? So ASP.NET, Windows application, smart client device applications. Even you can drive very small devices, very small, like embedded devices, we call it embedded. Maybe your digital clock or your watch, digital watch, and very small. These are having a very lightweight, a very minimal version of the .NET, so that it doesn't require a huge amount of memory or huge amount of resources. So we can also have these embedded devices onto which we can run our .NET applications. So I have already shown you the 4 different kinds of technologies. Excepting these, we also have applications that drive robots. Yes, robots. So you see that these are the different technologies, right? Now to program a technology, I have already told you that I need a language, because without a language you cannot express anything, right? If I completely remain quiet, it doesn't express anything. So the same thing for these technologies also. We need a programming language to express what we want to do. So C# and VB.NET are 2 very famous languages, and that is used to program any of these technologies. Yes students, I was actually on my way to tell you one thing, that many students call me and tell me, sir, I want to learn VB.NET. What they really want to learn is that you cannot directly learn a language, you have to learn it through some technology. So VB.NET they want to learn using Windows application. Now why this Windows application is associated with the term VB.NET, though now no more. You can use C# also for programming Windows applications, but this VB, there was a language previously to VB.NET, that was Visual Basic VB, which was used exclusively for programming Windows, that is to create softwares and create desktop based applications. So basically learning Windows application means you are learning how to develop softwares, and ASP.NET is now a kind of, you can say, a kind of takeover on this Windows application, because one point of software is that you need to go to every machine and you have to install your software on every computer. But this is not really the requirement with ASP.NET applications, primarily because ASP.NET applications are server centric. That is, you simply have to have an internet connection or intranet connection so that you can communicate or you can talk to the server. All you need is a browser. So ASP.NET applications require on the installation computer, it just requires two things. It needs first definitely the internet connection, and second it requires a software that is already present, that is browser. That is a browser. Let's talk about browser like Internet Explorer browser, Firefox browser, Chrome browser. So you need just a minimal set of things on a computer, whereas this Windows application, if you really want to install your Windows application, you really need to give a deployment CD to your client, and you need to install whole lot of softwares, whole lot of dependable softwares, like the softwares onto which your application is depending on. That is, your application is not the only application that runs all alone. It requires other depending softwares like maybe SQL Server, or maybe different components, maybe different DLLs, and you definitely need to install .NET on the top of that of your you need to install .NET on that computer. But you really don't need to have .NET at all on a computer if you are running a ASP.NET application, because ASP.NET applications just requires that connectivity to the server, and server must have all these things installed. So the installation part is totally server centric. You need to have nothing in the client, virtually nothing, just a dedicated internet connection that requires for your client to talk to the server. But if you are creating a software package that for which you have to have Windows application, this is fine, because in many situations you cannot expect a dedicated connection, or you want a very fast response, because if you are always connecting to server, so you are actually you are actually depending on the server. So instead of depending on server, you can, if your application is small enough, you can actually create a software application that directly runs on the top of your computer, which we say as the desktop applications or Windows applications. Now the thing is this, that Windows application was programmed exclusively using VB in some of the previous years. Now Microsoft have created this VB.NET application, VB.NET programming language, which actually can be used to program anything. Not only you can program this Windows, but you can program also web, you can program smart clients, you can program embedded devices, you can program robots, whatever. And you can also use instead of VB.NET, you can also use C# to do the same thing, to do the same stuff, right? So C# and VB.NET are two such programming language which are now famous in Microsoft.NET platform. Now, apart from VB.NET and C#, are there any other programming languages? Yes, there are. In fact, one of the very strongest programming language which is not normally used to program .NET is VC++. You must understand that apart from this, we are also having this Visual C++ programming language, Visual C++ .NET I can just tell, because Visual C++ .NET, which is also a very strong programming language using which you can program a lot of technologies. So but normally we don't use this, we keep it only for some sort of very system level work, device level works, but we normally don't use VC++ programming language for programming any of these technologies, because C# is used exclusively. In Windows also we don't use VB.NET that much, we use C#, because C# is actually created by Microsoft to solve certain language loopholes that was present in earlier programming languages. You must understand that why really VB.NET came up, because VB was having something inherent problems for which VB.NET came up. So why actually VC++.NET came up? Because some of the problems in VC++ itself, because VC++ itself is a old programming language. It's a very old programming language, the first programming language. So there was problems, and therefore, or at least to migrate that into .NET platform framework, we have Microsoft have actually created their .NET counterpart of this programming language. So VB was there for almost 10 years of time or even more, but Microsoft thought of creating VB.NET because they wanted to have this new language VB.NET complied with the .NET framework. But C# is a new one. C# doesn't have one existing such existing syntax, or so I think you have got enough information about these different sort of programming languages and also the technologies. And so now I really guess that your doubts about these programming languages and the technology should be clear, because this is the first thing that I take in my very first class, is to clear up the doubts, to have some sort of advertisements regarding various various technologies and their programming language counterparts. Now this language war, that is which language is better, whether VB.NET or C#, this language war normally continues, because some people say that my VB.NET is better and your C# is not that good. Some people say C# is good and VB.NET is not good at all. The thing is that there is no superior language in .NET. In .NET every languages bear the same footage. But even though I can tell you one thing, dear students, that if you are really learning .NET, you should be learning .NET using C#. Yes, I am a little bit biased towards C# because there are various reasons. Though I should again say that Microsoft, they have said that there is no superior language in .NET, but yet again C# is little bit superior than VB.NET. The main reason behind this is some sort of diplomatic reasons. Now why I'm just telling you diplomatic? Because C# is actually was created, Microsoft created this language C# looking at their toughest competitor Java. So if you learn C#, quite naturally you can think that one day if your company switches to Java programming language or Java environment, you can make that take over. Thus you can simply convert yourself from C# to Java very easily. So this is one such reason for which you should be switching, you should be learning through C#. And other reason is that C# is really a very type safe language. It is a language in which if you do some errors, it will be shown straight away at that point itself. That is the benefit provided by C# compiler to you. But VB.NET compiler remains quiet until and unless the problem actually comes along while execution of that program. So please refrain yourself from using VB.NET if you are new. And one another thing, very big reason, please pay full attention, that if you already know VB and if you want to make a comeback, if you really want to come to .NET, please don't dare to learn VB.NET, because you will simply simplify, you will simply assume many things, and that assumption is actually will prove extremely wrong in future. That is now what I mean is this, that if you already know VB as your programming language, and if you have already been doing some sort of VB programming, and if you are switching to VB.NET, what happens is that candidates normally, or students normally, uses their existing VB skill to develop a VB.NET application. And if they really do so, initially you will get a success, no doubt, because VB programs the syntax of a VB program is very similar to that of VB.NET, but yet again VB.NET is having a lot of new additions. So if you are happy with the VB syntax, that wow, my program is running, if you say this, that means you are actually keeping yourself aloof from learning the new syntaxes of .NET, which you must learn. But if you learn C#, there is no other way, because C# doesn't hail from an old programming language. Rather, it's a mix of technologies. Microsoft I should not say copied, but yet again, to some extent, yes, they have copied the elegancy of Java. They have made some sort of syntax similarities with Java, but yet again, C# was not having any of the previous trails. Like VB.NET is having a long trail. It had VB, and before that it has QBasic and GW Basic. But this C# is not having any such big trail. C# is, I can say, it is born and brought up from the land of .NET. So C# is customized for .NET. So C# is a language which was created with .NET. So naturally you can think that this is a better programming language for programming .NET because of many syntactical advantages over other programming languages, and also because C# is elegant. You can see that C# codes are smaller than VB.NET applications. But once again, remembering one key point, that I do also agree that there is no superior language in .NET. It is not that you can do something with C# which we cannot do with any other .NET programming languages like VB.NET or like VC++.NET. Though VC++.NET is not used these days to program in .NET technologies most of the time. So it is not, it's like nothing that my C# can do and your VB.NET cannot do. VB.NET can do everything and anything that you can do with C#. But yet again, the thing is that how it does. Doing is good, but how it is doing, this is important. That you are actually landed up having a lot of codes, big codes, and like if you want to create a simple integer declaration in C#, you simply have to write the old standard. Just write a C standard like int I, and that is fine. It creates and once a small integer variable in C#. But if you really want to create the same thing in VB.NET, you have to write big one, dim I as integer. So you can see that definitely that VB.NET syntax are long enough, big enough, and therefore it is not really good for production environment. So now the choice is yours. If you are coming from a VB background, and still if you really want to stick highly to VB.NET, I will welcome you, but normally I will say that don't do this, because that will keep yourself aloof, keep yourself separated, keep yourself barred from learning the new technology .NET, because .NET itself actually gives you a collection of libraries. Please understand this, what I am telling right now. .NET itself gives you a collection of libraries which you say as FCL, which is shortened for Framework Class Library, right? So .NET itself, .NET is a bunch. Now .NET, what is .NET? You know, .NET is a group of is a group of technologies. It's a common platform. You can just tell that it's a common one which all the .NET programming languages use. So it's a common place, common area. So .NET Framework FCL, or the Framework Class Library, is being used by, like VB.NET, C#, VC++, all of them uses this. Now if you are using VB, you might not use this FCL at all. You might not use this Framework Class Library at all. You might use your old VB libraries. So like if you are using say SC, right, or INT, or even very old mid-dollar statements or something like that. If you use them, it will be readily be taken by VB.NET environment, but you will never know that something better was there, like system.in32.parse, system.in32.parse. Actually, system.in32.parse is there within this framework class library. So you must understand one point, dear students, that if you are learning C#, you are ultimately ending up to use the whole of FCL, because C# doesn't have an existing library like VB.NET has, right? So like VB.NET, it is having a whole set of library, because it is hailing from an old programming language VB, whereas C# doesn't have it, because C#, whatever C# is doing, it is using wholly or completely of .NET framework class library. So I will give you 10 out of 10 if you use C#, because of this reason, that if you use C#, you will be using totally a framework class library. But the thing is that if you use VB.NET, can't you use FCL or the framework class library? Yes, you can. The answer is yes, you can, but the actually or the reality is that you will not, because once you get the taste of using ASC, INT and MID, which you are already accustomed using this for last 10 years, you will normally not switch over to the native .NET syntax, to say that native .NET things. You will not switch over, because when we get the easy benefits, why should you actually get along with the something that has to be learned and then implemented? And that is what we are here, that we have to learn, we have to understand the importance of these, that this is just one such function. There are thousands and thousands of functions which are supported by FCL. So please make sure that you learn C#. Now one thing that you might ask me, that sir, now okay, that's fine, that I will learn C#. So if you are completely new to .NET, which technology you should be learning? Because like C# you cannot write C# directly. You have to have some technology onto which you can actually program. There are a lot. The straight answer is that initially, in the very beginning phase, you should be learning C# using one another technology that I haven't mentioned, that is using console, right? C#. So first point is that whether you learn VB.NET, C#, the concepts are the same. So you should be first learning any programming language in .NET, either of VB.NET or C#. You should be using console application, because console, what is console? Console means a black screen, a complete pitch dark screen. This is console, fine. So like the things that you tell you that this is DOS application, but this is really isn't so. It's not DOS, because DOS is no more a full system in Windows. It is a subsystem right now. So console applications are like sometimes synonymous to DOS applications, but it is really not so. Black screen, I can say, console application, console apps. And learning console applications will quickly make you acquainted with the basic syntaxes of the language. Now, some of the things that the language supports, like event handling and delegates, these things really cannot be illustrated on console. Actually they can be, but it is tough to be explaining these things on console, because normally events and all, it requires some sort of eventing system, some sort of clicks, some sort of moving around the mouse or the keyboard events. So for these reasons, it is better to learn ASP.NET, either of ASP.NET or Windows application. So you can, now the choice is yours, which one you use. Now if you really want to get up quickly to the technology, I'll definitely tell that okay, you learn web application, that is using ASP.NET. You use C# and learn ASP.NET. And one important thing is that okay, if we don't learn console at all, can't we start implementing C# directly on ASP.NET? The straight answer is yes, we can do it. Yes, we can do it, but make sure that you don't hesitate yourself by seeing a lot of files in your project, because like these are the files necessary to have a minimal web application. So if you are directly learning to program, make sure that you keep it as small as possible. Just keep one single file, just keep code only. So for that reason we use console. But if you yet insist that, sir, I want to learn C# on this web application ASP.NET, that is fine, you can also learn that, just not an issue at all. But make sure that you will not hesitate yourself, will not confuse yourself by seeing a lot of files together. So like you can understand the reason behind this, because ASP.NET is a technology, and I first need to talk about technology, then it comes to the language. But if I am talking about this console is having almost a 0-calorie technology, means it doesn't have, though it is itself a technology, you can definitely just mention that, but it is having I'm just telling 0-calorie because it's almost weightless. It's a very basic one, it's a very basic one, just to make sure that you are able to code to support your language. Console is enough. So initially you can use a very lightweight technology, which is console, so that you can directly gain advantage to C# language. And the language is all the same, like whether I sing, whether I talk to anybody else, my friends, or I'm like talking to you regarding these jargons of technology, the language is English. So if I can speak English, I can definitely talk to someone else in the same language. The same thing holds there also. Like if you learn C# on any of these definitely any of these technologies, you can definitely code in any other platform once you master the C#. But it again, if you really are very novice, and if you are beginner, I'll really give you full suggestion that you learn first using console applications, and then you switch over to either of ASP.NET or Windows application. Now if you still say, Mr. please give me your priority about learning, which is better to first begin with, whether ASP.NET or Windows application. If you really, now the answer to this is if you really say that I just want to master a technology quicker, definitely go for web. But if you really want to say that, son, I want to learn the C# language to fullest, I don't, because like ASP.NET is having a lot of other mixed up things. That is, if you learn ASP.NET, you also have to learn like some, at least to some extent, JavaScript, Ajax. So these are things that comes in your way. It is better if you have some knowledge on some Silverlight or Flash. So learning ASP.NET means you are actually not only learning ASP.NET, but you also have to have some basic acquaintance with JavaScript. You definitely should be having some good acquaintance with Ajax, and if you want, you can really supercharge yourself with some of the very recent ones like Silverlight, or the existing one like Flash. So it is a choice. So you can see that if you are learning web application, so that means even if you are in the development stage, not in the designing stage, you are ending up learning a lot of different jargons. So if you really want to, and when you learn Windows applications, you are actually saving a lot of your time learning the extra things like these things. So you can directly concentrate more on this language, C#. So definitely one who is learning C# and implementing on Windows application, surely he gets an advantage, natural advantage, that he ultimately becomes a more proficient C# coder, because Windows application will use nothing more than a programming language, whereas a web application will be using not only a programming language, but will be using other mixed up jargons like JavaScript, it will be using like it can use Ajax. So Ajax and JavaScript are on the same grounds, because Ajax is nothing but internally it is a JavaScript, and Silverlight and Flash, they are like big competitors. Silverlight is a thing that Microsoft's Flash, you can say, right? So but it is better definitely because of its better FPS, framework per second. So Silverlight is a Microsoft's Flash, but it's definitely better than Flash. But very less websites use Silverlight, excepting Microsoft's own website. So, but yet again, Silverlight and this WPF, Windows Presentation Foundation, is similar things. I'll talk about these in some other videos, but not in this video. So these things are very important, dear students, that you must understand, like which one you should learn. So to brief, to make it short, if you want to learn a programming language, if you just want to learn the programming language, the bare basics, please go for console applications. And if you want to learn a wholesome thing, if you want to get a job, rather to say, you want to get a job, so if that is the requirement, and if you really want to appreciate that, okay, I will be learning a technology quick with some programming language, I will not go to that much depth, but yet again I should be able to create some project work. 10 out of 10 for ASP.NET, because that is good, that is best for most of the candidates, about 90% of the candidates. But yet again, some of my candidates say that, sir, I want to learn like how to develop softwares like you develop for your clients. Okay, for that I will welcome you to learning Windows application, either using VB.NET or using C#. But you can understand the natural preference for me and for the industry also is to switch over to C#. So if you learn C# on this Windows application, ultimately you will be learning a good amount of knowledge on C#, because this Windows application uses whole of C#. I can really teach you threadings, can really be able to implement events and delegates much better on Windows application as compared on web applications. And about the smart client device applications and embedded device and robotics, these are not definitely covered in my syllabus, but I can give you 100% guarantee that if you learn both of these Windows application and ASP.NET applications, you will definitely be able to learn these other kind of applications. You can find help on internet, like Robotics Studio is there. I found it once. Robotics Studio, it's not part of Visual Studio though, but you can find it on web. And the smart client device applications and embedded devices, these are on the same grounds. Like they use .NET Compact Edition, not the full-blown edition, the Compact Edition, so as to you can actually program on these small devices. So definitely I think you have got some idea before you actually come to attend my class here. You have got the idea like what is VB.NET and what is C#. Now never say that VB.NET is like what you have on your desktop. You double click on it and you start dragging and dropping controls. It's not really so. You can use VB.NET to code a very simple console application, like I can show you that. So that there is nothing of V in VB.NET. V means visual. So if I am creating a console, where is my visual? There is no such visual. See that the console application I've selected for you. So actually I've selected that using C#. I'll write console dot write line hi, right? And if I run this application, you can see that that really prints hi, and press any key to continue. So that was a C# application. I can do the same thing using VB.NET also, just that I have to switch the language where I was using C# to switch it to VB.NET. Just that instead of C#, I'll not be using C#, I'll be using Visual Basic, and I'll be using this console, the same purpose. If I click OK, I'll find the same syntax. See that, how do I really copy? You see that, how do I really copy this one? The same thing, the console write line syntax. Just simply copying this and pasting this over here. Just that, mind you, don't give this semicolon, because VB.NET applications or VB applications in general don't have a semicolon. So run this, the same thing, that runs and says that hi, press any key to continue. Actually I'm pressing Ctrl F5 instead of F5. So that was it. So you see that is there any such V in this? But this application was created using VB.NET VB. You see this extension is VB. So where is V in this? So you can definitely argue with yourself that okay, that's fine, VB.NET is no more a language for programming only on visual environments like Windows application, but you can actually use that even for console applications. So that is what I want to mention, that Visual Basic is now a much smarter language which supports a lot of technologies, but C# was created for .NET. It was created on .NET. Got the point? It was not existing earlier. Microsoft created it for .NET. So it is better to use C# to get not only a very quick and good job, not only that is the only thing, but you can also get huge syntactical advantage in the language itself. It's a better language, and you can get a lot of helps on web, because you know, like web is teeming with examples in C# compared with VB.NET. So you'll be getting a lot of more examples, a lot of more helps in web if you're learning this programming language C#. So that comes to an end of the basic distinction between these technologies and languages. I hope to find you very soon in my next video or in my next class. Thank you very much for watching this video. Have a very happy weekends.